All right, week 2 college football breakdown here. The only game I'm going to talk about on Friday night. Pretty interesting matchup here. We got Louisville traveling to Orlando to take on UCF. We saw this line open up around 6.5. Somehow, some way, there's actually been some Louisville money come in. So seeing that down to 6, seeing that total at 61.5. Listen, Louisville went out and laid an egg to start the season. I know the Carrier Dome at Syracuse is not the easiest place to play. They were 5-point favorites on the road, and they lost by 24. They have a dynamic quarterback in Malik Cunningham. This team might have just given up on Scott Satterfield. If you remember a few years ago, whenever Will Muschamp was fired from South Carolina, Scott Satterfield seemed very interested in getting out of Louisville and taking that job. When you know it, things don't work out, and he's actually at Louisville, and I think all the fans are like, well, what about us? That's not me speculating. I mean, that's a well-known fact. And since then, this has just been a total deadbeat program. Didn't have a good year last year, and then you go out and lay an egg in the season opener. Pretty hard to do that. But obviously, there are some good things about this team, and I really just think it starts with Malik Cunningham. I mean, his main kryptonite earlier in his career was the turnovers. He improved on that last year. He was over 9 yards per attempt, and he's a dynamic runner. Nobody's denying that. Unfortunately, he threw 2 picks in the season opener. Something I was definitely not expecting him to do. UCF has I guess, kind of brand of being more of an offense-based program, but Gus Malzahn has actually built that defense up pretty well here just in year 2. They can get after the quarterback in that pass rush, and they got a pretty good secondary as well, returning both cornerbacks from last year's team. Louisville showed me nothing last week, just as a unit, where I'd want to trust that offense. But when you do have a dynamic quarterback like Cunningham, it can pretty easily flip a game on its head. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I wouldn't really count on it to happen. It's kind of the same thing with UCF, too. They brought in John Rice Plumlee from Ole Miss. If you remember, he played he played his most football in 2019. He had that really good game against LSU. I think he set the all-time Ole Miss rushing record in that game as a quarterback. He's an extremely dynamic runner, but throughout his career, he just hasn't proven much as a passer. 54% completion, 6.2 yards per attempt coming into the season. So I wouldn't really expect UCF to chuck the ball around the yard. Gus Malzahn is a guy who's worked with a lot of quarterbacks like this before. Nick Marshall, more dual threat type of guys. When you consider what UCF has at running back with Isaiah Bowser and Richardson is definitely a home run threat from that position, this could be a pretty dangerous run game, especially when you add in Plumlee's ability as a runner. Funny enough, though, Louisville actually kind of got gashed against the pass last week against Syracuse, which didn't come into the season projecting to be all that good in that area. They actually didn't get gashed by running back Sean Tucker in that game. So suffice to say, Louisville is a team that I've had a really tough time figuring out. I think the upside is there. The one thing, too, about Malik Cunningham, over these past 2 years, he's lost some really dynamic receivers. And it seems like over time that's had its effect. No way I'd want to take the points with Louisville here, although that's the way the market seems to be going. To be honest with you, this is a game I completely stay away from. I know it's on Friday night. I know people love to bet these kind of standalone games. But if this game was on Saturday, would you really be betting this? Probably not. So I think there's always going to be a possibility with an over when you have 2 dynamic quarterbacks like this, but I'm not going to really bet on that. I've actually already released my best bets here for week 2. Got those out this morning here on Wednesday. I'm looking to have the rest of my card out by Thursday. The main place you can follow me is on Twitter at Fordham Betting. I'll also leave all of my other information in the description below. One more thing, too, head over to proud90.com. They got all your golf apparel needs. You see this shirt right here. I know you've been staring at it the whole time. Head over to proud90.com, code Fordham at checkout. It's going to get you 15% off your order. All the other information will be in the description. Appreciate y'all watching the video. Be a fun game to watch on Friday night, but we're going to have a lot better opportunities on Saturday. I'm going to stay away from this one.